Welcome to the Hope for the Journey podcast, a weekday wellness tips program presented by Dr. Denise Marie, Third Order Carmelite. Dr. Denise is a professionally qualified clinical psychologist, health and wellness professor and coach, counselor, plus medicinal herbs educator. Each Hope for the Journey podcast features a well-being key from Dr. Denise, helping you meet your self-care needs for living well. Listener discretion is advised because this and other Hope for the Journey episodes may contain discussions surrounding behavioral health problems and other actual potentially triggering topics.
Hello and good day, everyone. Welcome back to Hope for the Journey, and I hope things are coming along okay for you today. This is Dr. Denise speaking, and on today's episode of the podcast, our topic is cultivating resilience, which is a psychological self-care key for living well. So to start off, let's take a look at what exactly is resilience. What does resilience really mean? Well, I actually call it soul strength of soul, especially from the decision to adapt to maintaining your well-being when facing large change, stress, and or really tough times such as financial issues, illness, loss of employment, divorce, death of a loved one, and the like. In other words, owning the mental, emotional, and spiritual strength that God has already put inside of you. Resilience is what I see to be the opposite of a poor me attitude. It is not about using unhealthy coping mechanisms to resist difficult events or escape the life difficulties. When I am speaking about resilience, I like to look at what the core characteristics are that resilient people have. When a stressful situation comes up, most of the time resilient people can clearly think under the pressures. They believe that they can influence how things turn out. Resilient people possess a realistic optimism. They can readily adapt to change. Resilient people handle stress in a rather positive way. They can persevere. They have a psychologically healthy faith, a psychologically healthy spirituality. Resilient people show that they can have good relationships with other people. So in hearing me begin this podcast content about resilience, what do you think your level of resilience is? Overall, in regard to resilience, do you consider yourself a mildly resilient person? Moderately resilient? Significantly resilient? Or perhaps even very resilient? You might be wondering, why would it be important to cultivate even more resilience in your life? Well, certainly, growing resilience is for your benefit. Resilience nurtures the sense we have of our psychological wholeness and well-being. Resilience enables each of us to carry at times the enormous psychological load that falls on our heart, mind, and or spirit. Resilience helps us to bounce back quicker from all the stressful life events we experience. And resilience gives glory to God. Well, then, how might we go about trying to cultivate greater resilience in our lives? Well, I think first it is necessary to be willing to face challenges with true grit, that is, head on, no running away, no trying to bypass or overlook the hardships that are being faced. And I think it's also important to cultivate resilience to be practicing self talk, which is positive. The things you say to yourself are very important. And what about cultivating resilience by listening to truly empowering music? Music that lends you a strong can do attitude. Resilience can be cultivated also by focusing on decisions or behavior that you know you can control, instead of getting caught up and worried about what you cannot change. Resilience also grows when you are aligned with your own life meaning, when you are in tune with what brings you value and joy, no matter what the ups and downs are that you may be facing. Resilience can also be cultivated by setting out to grow a more firm faith in God. Why not cultivate a strong relationship with God? Certainly, it will bring greater resilience. Resilience can also grow with really good planning. Why not define what success on a particularly challenging matter will look like? So then the planning involves defining clear, realistic, and measurable goals that will bring you to the success you seek. Overall, it is quite possible to intentionally cultivate resilience in your personal life, all in service of becoming psychologically stronger, which will result in a more thriving life for you in general. Moving along next about today's topic, I wish to talk about two people for whom cultivating a resilient life has been striking. First, I mentioned Pam Stencil, an expert on sex, love, and relationships, as well as the outreach director for Safe Haven Baby Boxes. Pam Stencil has traveled the United States and the world, speaking from her heart each year to close to 500,000 teenagers about sexual integrity subjects and the costly consequences of sex outside of marriage. Pam herself was conceived when her mother was raped at 15 years of age. So while Pam's biological father was a rapist, Pam's teen mom wanted to give her daughter a very good family, so Pam's unwed mother courageously allowed a Christian family to adopt Pam at 5 months post-birth. And Pam did well growing up, being valued by her adoptive family and learning that her life wasn't worth any less than the next person just because of the rape circumstances of her own conception. Pam became a college graduate after majoring in psychology and has since volunteered generously for the cause of respecting both the expectant mother and her little baby yet unborn, especially by Pam's counseling young women to make the best loving choices when they are pregnant in difficult situations, rather than harmful decisions that they would live to regret. Pam Stencil is a modern day heroine, an example of a woman of exceptional resilience. Plus, I also wanted to point out broadcaster Father Calvin Robinson, who I learned of on X.com. Father Calvin has expressly posted about resilience. For example, on March 22nd of this year, Father Calvin wrote about, quote, how to thrive in an age of destruction, how to live out your values in the face of adversity, how to overcome distractions and cultivate discipline, why no lasting cultural change is possible without belief in God, end quote. Father Calvin recently had to move out of his home country of Britain to the United States of America so he could speak freely on behalf of his countrymen, or actually risk being jailed in the UK for his bold speaking out in accord with biblical truth, for example, about his being against euthanasia. So both of these prominent persons, Father Calvin Robinson and Pam Stencil, understand that cultivating resilience helps them remain true to who they are. It's a psychological practice for better living. Now, placing our focus on what's next for this podcast, I am presenting a piece of music that nicely underlines what it is like to be cultivating resilience in your life. This song I am featuring is called Strength from Within, an uplifting anthem of faith and resilience by Matt Koenig. So I will read this song's topic relevant lyrics, which I found on the internet. Woke up this morning, light in my eyes. Nothing can stop me from reaching the skies. Mountains may tremble, winds they may blow. Strength comes from inside. This I truly know. I can do all things through you who gives me strength. No wall too high to climb with you here by my side. Troubles around me, dark clouds above. Faith keeps me grounded, filled with endless love. When the world gets heavy, I won't give in. Your power lifts me. Let the journey begin. I can do all things through you who gives me strength. No wall too high to climb, with you here by my side. So as this song well illustrates, cultivating a resilient outlook improves not only one's psychological wellness, but also one's overall well-being. At this point, I wish to spend a little time discussing some extra possible care for you and your overall wellness by pointing to the following: 3 health foods and plants to grow resilience or stamina of soul, which is our psychological self-care key of the day. Yet, please bear in mind to go over these 3 items with your doctor before setting them into your dietary routines. I review next this trio of foods as complementary to body and soul functioning. First, I can suggest to you licorice root, which is also known as sweetwood or nature's candy. Alongside licorice root's use as a sweetener, licorice root is a support to adrenal system functioning during times of excessive stress by keeping it in balance. Licorice root increases your energy level, stamina, nervous system's proper functioning, brain health, and readiness to endure. Licorice root not only aids sleep and fights against depression, but it's also just right for keeping your strength up for a busy day. Next, I can underscore goji berries, also known as wolfberry fruits. Goji berries are super nutritious, being really high in vitamins, iron, and protein. These berries are fine for eating or taken in juices to reduce your stress or anxiety and even improve sleep quality. Gojis protect your brain cells from damage, plus improve memory and ability to recall things. Goji berries improve energy, cardiovascular health, and enhance your overall well-being. Additionally, there is kava kava. Kava kava originates from different countries in the South Pacific. Some people call kava kava a natural Xanax, pharmaceutical alternative without producing dependency. Kava kava calms body muscles, yet supports mental focus, supporting an alert mind. Kava kava promotes a contented mood and an increase in one's sociability. But please remember my advice about discussing such foods, including kava kava, with your doctor to make sure they are a match to your unique health needs. Otherwise, it does please me to point out licorice root, goji berries, and kava kava as a few of nature's gifts for the well-being of both your body and soul. For today, I also wanted to share this brief item with you, a post-it note I have written to encourage you to increase your cultivating resilience in your life. So I hope you will take to heart these words from a friend, actually from 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 8 to 9. You may be afflicted in every way, but not crushed, perplexed, but not driven to despair, persecuted, but not forsaken, struck down, but not destroyed. Turning our attention to a last piece of content on today's topic, I have a phone app to highlight toward the goal of cultivating resilience. This particular app is called the Resiliency Program app, 360-degree solution to ease burnout. It is designed by Dr. Stephen Zadkoy. The description for this app says it was first meant, quote, to reduce, eliminate burnout syndrome with an insightful, thoughtful, and scientific approach to improve the performance and endurance of active duty U.S. Marine Corps and police personnel, end quote. Now, the updated version of the app indicates, quote, Dr. Zadkoy adapted the resiliency program for the corporate sector, lawyers, health professionals, government organizations, universities, schools, and general public. You can now measure your burnout and stress levels anytime, providing you with more flexibility. The plan maps out recommendations for lifestyle changes, nutritional supplements, and training for you to incorporate into your daily routine. A valuable resource for anyone aiming to develop resilience and strengthen their mental well-being, end quote. Further, going beyond this resiliency program app I discovered, you can keep in mind that there are other wellness aids to discover in our Hope for the Journey podcast resource center, located on Instagram at Cause for Hope. And to finish up, to conclude this evening's talking points, I wished for you to know how pleased I have been to produce this podcast for you today on our valuable topic of cultivating resilience. to emphasize the importance of this psychological self-care key for you. And please know that I personally wish you more hope for the journey of greater well-being.
The Hope for the Journey program airs weekday evenings from 7:45 p.m. to 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Instagram and YouTube. Dr. Denise thanks you for listening to her Community Wellness podcast and wishes you to keep in mind that there is cause for hope of more well-being.